Welcome to all inspiring chefs, cooks, and everything in between alike. This is Griever, your guys' host as always, bringing you guys the final episode of Shokugeki no Souma, the fourth plate, episode 12 review. There's a lot to cover because I did not expect this for the final episode. It lends itself to be an ending, but then it teases another season. Once again, at the end of the last review, I talked about the potential of how bad the final arc of Shokugeki no Souma was and how there were too many components and too much stuff. And it could be handled properly by an anime adaptation if they found a clear direction and a proper way to handle it. And honestly, scrap a lot of actually what went down in the final arc while keeping the core idea of the final arc. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. It's hard to say, honestly, because, well, let's just go through this because there's going to be a couple things to cover. Number one is the addition of this filler scene. I was a little mistaken in my last review where I said that it was hammered home about Azami and his reasoning behind, we do get the flash of the family portrait and such, but I did end up finding out later that he does mention Joshiro. There are some scenes, it's a little extended, but nothing over the top that I thought it was in the last episode, mentioning Joshiro and the wasteland and all that such. But here we get a very, very nice filler scene. We get a scene where we see Azami walking out, after everyone's been crowned and the whole 9 yards, and it's like, oh, it's all sunshine and rainbows, the Rebel Alliance won, Central is done for, and Azami leaves. That's how the manga handles it. In the anime, we get this nice scene where he meets up with Gin and Joshiro, and they talk to him, and it's such a great scene where they're just like, look, Joshiro says, some of this blame is on me. I didn't handle everything properly the way I should have, but and he makes fun of him too. He has a fun little scene where he, after they talk seriously, he pats him on the head and says, you're being too serious, sort of idea, right? Like, let it lie. He essentially says, don't let what happened to me, just because it happened to me, does not mean that it's going to happen to everybody. It's not something that you need to hold a burden for, but I bear the responsibility of letting you go through that alone. Once you saw what happened, I abandoned everyone. I never contacted anybody. I'm sorry about that. That's on me. But Souma wasn't wrong saying that I was happy. And I still am happy. As a person, as a chef. So don't use me basically as an excuse anymore. It's not, we're all okay. And you're still okay. You know what? Let's go for a drink. Let me treat you to my cooking sometime. It's been a long time since you've had my cooking. Why don't you come have a meal? And Azami, smiles at this and realizes that he's been wrong in his direction about going about it. But as he points out, everything I've done has been for her. I'm going to say a bit of a spoiler warning here just in case, because I feel like this needs to be talked about. So spoilers. 3, 2, 1. Which her is he referring to? I just came up with this crazy... This filler scene adds so much depth to their characters. Azami, especially, because Azami is actually a well-written character, especially one of the only good things about the final arc of Shokugeki is Azami as a character. And here we see, of course, Gin and Joshiro try to console him and say, look, you went about this wrong, but you're not a bad guy. Don't let the last few years, they mentioned the years after Totsuki, which we know about from the final arc, which, once again, spoilers here, is Mana, the child of Susanamon, the possessor of the god tongue, Arena's mother. And what it's done to her, we know all about that. So which her was he referring to? And a crazy thing that came to my mind was the temptation of getting Joshiro on Azami's side was part and parcel not to do with Arena and not to do with Central, but Azami, if you all recall, Azami's cooking managed to satisfy Mana for a time, but after a few years, it couldn't do it anymore, and she constantly, like, that's the problem. Mana, Arena's mother, the god tongue has become too strong, and nothing tastes good enough anymore. So that's the basic concept. I mean, in a nutshell, what if he thought, what if that was part of it? I'd love for, if they make the next season, which is kind of teased at the end of this episode, if they make the next season, I hope that they incorporate this, that part of the reason he accepted the Regiment de Cuisine, which he did not have to, was not just the easy way of looking at it. Well, of course Azami wants his senpai, he wants Joshiro to work as a chef, but in his ideals, to fix the problem, to fix the past, that's a fine motive, but a better motive would be he wants Joshiro to save Mana. Because as far as Azami is concerned, there are very few chefs that surpass he himself. And one of them is clearly Joshiro. Joshiro is the chef that he holds in the highest esteem. He's the best in the Shokugeki verse. He might be able to make a dish that can help Mana. That would be a fantastic line for the anime to take. All right, that would be incredible for the anime to take that direction with it, and that would make the next arc so much stronger than it really was. Even with the number of faults, if we focus on that, that would have been so good in the manga. And with this one anime scene, with this one filler scene that adds so much, it really could do a lot. So this review is going to be very long because I've only talked about a filler scene in this episode. But it adds so much to Joshiro Gin. We get a conclusion of their character arcs and how they feel. But we also see, and the interaction and stuff is very nice to see because we don't really get much of that in the manga. But also we see Azami and how he develops. And this whole lingering thing that, of course, he does it all for Arena because they're worried about Arena. Like, this whole thing was because Azami saw what happened to Mana and he's so scared for his daughter. It's out of love for his daughter that he basically wanted to basically completely overhaul the cooking world in general just to save his daughter. It's a noble thing. So anyways, that's the end of the spoilers. I'll probably make sure that there's a spoiler thing somewhere on the video so people will know. Maybe add a time card, something like that. Either way, all right. The rest of the episode, we get. There's a lot really to cover, but in all honesty, is there really? I mean, I can sum it up pretty quick. Souma gets the first seat, doesn't like it because he doesn't feel like he's earned it yet. Arena becomes the director because Anakiri always has to be the one who runs Totsuki, and they're kind of arguing over who will be the first seed, who will be the second seed, who will be this, that, and the other thing, because of course all the Elite 10 who were there, who didn't fight on the Rebel side, have lost their positions, so they have to be filled. Souma, of course, automatically first seed, appointed by Arena herself. After this, I mean, it's a funny scene. We have Souma basically electing the idea that Arena should be the director, and it's comedic, and it's fine, and it's lighthearted and such. After this, we jump a few... Well, no, before that, we simply get the entire crowd realizing that they had sided with the Azami administration. They had sided with Central. It's done a little different in the manga, but it's pretty much boils down to the same thing, that they all think they're going to be expelled. They're not going to be expelled, as someone points out and says, I like Shokugekis, but the idea of losing everything for one seems to just be no. So here's the deal. You can challenge me at any time. The first rule he lays down, it's expanded upon as we go through the episode, but simply Shokugekis with nothing bet on the line other than the seats. That's what people go for. It's like, all right, I'm a nobody. I challenge you for the 7th seat. Okay. If you win, you get the 7th seed. If you lose, nothing happens. That's the attitude of Souma and his Jewel generation. That's the attitude they all have. It's really cool, and I like the idea that Souma kind of changed everything, because he was like, I didn't beat Rindo, I did not beat Tsukasa, so I might have the 1st seed. It doesn't mean I'm the best here. So here's the deal. Any one of you can challenge me at any time. You do you. You know, cook the way you want, cook whatever you want, come to challenge me any day, any hour, I will accept. I am taking all comers. Come at me for the 1st seed. You don't have to bet a thing. And that's how he revolutionized how Totsuki did it. Shokugeki's alive, but it's there so that people can harness, as the way Souma puts it, is that we can all hone our techniques by constantly facing each other without having to worry about life and death. You know, these giant decisions about expulsion and seats and all this craziness. It's like you can always win it back, and people refusing Shokugekis, but if there's no weight to them, it takes away something from, like, this is where I think the series should have ended, in all honesty. But if that were the case, you take away the weight of the Shokugeki from the series, but this series felt concluded at this point. It felt whole, and this is the way to take away that weight that was weighing everybody down in the cooking world. Now they can elevate themselves to even higher places as a unit, as a team, as chefs in companionship, and it's a really good idea. So there's a lot to be said about that. What else do we got here? We jump a few months, I believe, and this is where the beginning of the next arc takes off. It does it a little different. We get a timeless. This is what I'm talking about. We get like a jump, but a hint that the season's gonna, like, this is the way it should have been handled were they to end the anime. It was fine up until the hint at the end. What I mean by that is they jump through everybody, how the 5 seniors that graduated from the original Elite 10 moved on. We have Momo making sweets in a pastry shop. We then jump over to the samurai Saito, who's working, of course, in his mother's sushi shop. They're booked up to next spring. It's really nice, and he's just working there. Megashima is actually gone to Paris to cook ramen. No less, of course, in the view of the Eiffel Tower, just to make sure you all knew that. But it's actually really cool that, once again, it's the same idea that of course, the magician chef himself, Shinomiya, decided to do, to bring the whole, like, the French, Japan, thing together sort of idea. Megashima is attempting the same thing, similar idea. He went straight to Paris and is cooking traditional Japanese ramen in Paris. So that's really cool. It looks, it's amazing. And then we get Rindo and Tsukasa clearly in some type of safari, Africa perhaps, somewhere like that, where they're fishing for new ingredients and all this such, and they're traveling the world. After this, what do we jump to after this? We get the idea that we establish everybody in their new positions. We got Megami is number 10 in the Elite 10. Souma, of course, number 1. And Shiki, of course, number 1 dude, is taking the 2nd seat. We have the lab coat trio that aren't treated as the lab coat trio, which is kind of like, I was kind of like, where's the lab coats? But the lab coat trio, which is Hayama, Alice, and Rio, are always constantly between 4, 5, and 6. They're always in that middle of the pack Elite 10 seats, and they're constantly switching because they're almost daily having Shokugekis with each other to constantly switch the seats. So the seats are always switched around. You have, you follow a bunch of people here. You follow Hisaka. You follow all the new members of the Elite 10. Aizen is still one. You follow Kuga. Kuga, of course, is still one. I believe he's the 3rd seed. There's a lot of people to follow here, but we're simply summarizing what everybody's been up to after the final battle, so to speak. That's when the ending crawl comes, and we get like 3 or 4 minutes of just because Megami at the beginning of the new arc in the manga was writing a letter to her mom, and that's how we get into the prologue for the new arc. We explain what everybody's been doing for the last months, and that's what the anime is showing here. They do it the same way. Megumi's been writing a letter to her mother in the village back home saying about all the events that have taken place in the past few months. It's different than the manga, of course, because it feels like they're tying up the loose ends, and they actually do. They add quite a few filler scenes showing that Souma didn't leave, because that's what happened in the manga. Souma left. Souma was not a first seat in the traditional sense. He actually left and didn't come back. You know, he was not doing the paperwork and all this stuff. There was no scene with Arena, as far as I remember. He was gone. He was traveling. He was doing his own thing. And we skim over the beginning of the new arc with the mysterious chef, one of the dark chefs, very much taking away from Toriko here, as I constantly pointed out in my reviews of the manga. We got the dark chefs here, the mysterious chef, and he's one of these evil chefs who's taking over people's kitchens and stuff and battling them. Found out about the Shokugeki, and there's all this stuff, but it's glanced over that Megumi just beats this person with Souma watching, and then they jump over to that they're all happy and it's all good. Like, that was the end of it, and there was no revelation. There was no, the dark chefs are coming. We found out about the Shokugeki. There's a deeper meaning. None of that. It's just, oh, some dude was crazy, and we put him in his place. Megumi has learned a lot by traveling the world, which is good for her character, but they really dull it down. That is so watered down, as though let's showcase his brand new character. Yeah, beaten in an ending crawl with credits running, right? But to be fair, it's kind of like, all right, if they're going to tie up the series and we're not going to get a season, that's all fine and good. But then at the end, at the very tail end, this guy shows up. And so this is a tease. This is a tease that we're going to get another season, of course. It could be left ambiguous, I guess, but not really. It's like a tease that if we do another season, we didn't forget. Don't think that that we wrapped up everything in a neat little bow. We do have the potential for another season, sort of thing, but I feel like they shouldn't have done it. Only because they handled the Dark Chef, the Midnight Chefs, whatever, in a ending crawl with no explanation, and it feels kind of like that Chapter 0 or that pilot episode where then when they actually get serialized or whatever, they have to then go back and redo episode 1. And they have to retell the one shot in multiple episodes. It feels like they're going to have to retell this ending crawl. They did it in Seven Deadly Sins Season 1. They kind of, oh, it was all a dream sort of idea of what happened at the end of Season 1 so that they could retell and continue from where the manga left off, because it would have been far too difficult to continue it the way they ended off the anime. So if there is a Season 5, I don't know. If they do a Season 5, I don't really know what to say about that. I'm not looking forward to it if they do. The animation is fine. I always liked Shokugeki no Souma animation. The designs of the characters, I really like the art style and such. But they're going to have to do a lot of fixes. Maybe that's the reason. Maybe they have a good plan for the next season, and that's why they basically went over, yeah, this did happen with the Inn and the Midnight Chef with Megumi and Souma, but it's not going to be relevant to our Season 5. Animes always take a turn. Look at Inuyasha. Look at the filler arcs of Naruto and Bleach. Look at One Piece movies. Look at Dragon Ball Z. There has been a lot of anime was always a different interpretation with the core ideas being there. Nowadays, for the last 5 or 6 years, at least, it's been basically an OVA. Animes are OVAs. Air Gear, another perfect example of an actual anime. OVAs are manga direct. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Death Note changed quite a few things. But that doesn't exist anymore. Animes of today strictly follow the panels of a manga almost exclusively nowadays. There is so little deviation off of the manga, and for various reasons, but when a manga clearly did not resonate with fans, The anime, this is their time. If Shokugeki has money, if they're going to make season 5, they better look at season 5, take the core idea of it, and scrap everything else and start again. They better just write an anime filler season 5 using the idea of the last arc of the manga, but not following it, because they did so many wrongs in the last season. I'm just spitballing here. There's been a long review, but it's the final review for episode 12 of Shokugeki no Soma, the fourth plate. Felt like it could be a longer video. I think I covered everything in as much detail as I wanted to. I can keep rambling on, but let's just end the video here. If there is a season 5, I will likely review it, because I still do hold a lot of love for Shokugeki no Soma. I don't own the complete season series yet, and I do intend to actually buy the anime on Blu-ray when I actually get more money. But that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the review series. I know it didn't do too well. Episode reviews aren't really my thing, so maybe that's the reason I don't get a lot of views on these. But I did enjoy doing Dr. Stone. I did enjoy Wrath of the Gods. Well, no, I lie. I did not enjoy the Wrath of the Gods. But I did enjoy the fourth plate, Shokugeki no Soma, and, of course, Dr. Stone Season 1. I will be back here for, of course, Bleach. You know, the final season, or multiple seasons, the final arc, the 1,000-Year Blood War arc. I'll be here for those episode reviews. Shokugeki no Soma Season 5, if it comes out. And Dr. Stone Season 2, you couldn't keep me away. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Like, comment, subscribe, as always. The Discord link will be in the box down below. What else can I say? Keep cooking, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next time.